What if I said that at age 22, I just passed out from college, had the university topper gold medal in hand, the best campus job on offer that session, and a girlfriend who went on to become my wife. Essentially, everything set up to really gear up for the fast-paced rigmarole of the 9-to-5 work life. And yet, nearly 25 years later, at age 47, I'd given up my business, I'd given up my career to follow that one thing that I learned on the first day of my job. Interesting? Well, here's my story. I did my schooling for 14 years from this very place, and the friends that I made are more like family today. That front row, non-conforming poser kid, that's me. You know, I realized quite early, people knew that what I would be heading to, didn't I? Graduating from school, I joined the Regional Engineering College, Jalandhar. Regional engineering colleges, or the NITs as they are known as now, are some of the finest institutes of the country. And during our time, we had 50% students from the home state and 50% students from all other states of the country. So it was like mini India. And this was where I learned a very important lesson, that of accepting diversity, that of accommodating different schools of thoughts. We tend to be brought up in cocoons where we can fight the world and come back home and know that there's a safety net all around us. And here I was, an 18-year-old who realized that even if I fought with my friends, I had to come back to the same hostel room with them in the evening. We learned to accept. We learned to connect with people despite all their deficiencies and flaws. I was enjoying my studies, and the difference showed. While everyone was trying to pass the exam by rote and just getting through the degree, I was finding practical applications for what I would do with those things. I was interested in music, dramatics, and also traveling around to different places during the breaks. When the time came for campus placement, I was selected for Grindel Norton Limited, a Saint-Gobain Group company. Graduating from college, I was a very confident person, ready to take on the world. It was the July of 1996 that I landed in Bangalore at the Grindel Norton office. This was the day that changed me for the rest of my life. Our induction at Grindel was conducted by the HR team, led by Captain Shekhar, and he said something that stuck with me. He said, if you get up in the morning and feel like, oh no, I have to go to work again, then you should quit your job. This was a profound statement, and it hit me. Though the statement had a negative connotation of, quitting if you don't like something, I turned it around 180 degrees and said to myself, every morning I wake up, every day I wake up, I'll be excited about something that I want to do that day. That was easier said than done. What if you realize that every day you made these wonderful plans, excited about so many things, and your boss came and said, hey Tanmay, leave everything and you need to prioritize this. Poof! There went all your plans, all your excitement. But I learned. I adapted. I realized that grandiose thinking alone is not going to get to my goals. So I started making these very small tasks and plans for the day. These would be tasks that I could do on my own. I didn't need anybody else. I could do at my leisurely pace, and many times not even related to the work I was doing. The day I started completing these tasks, it filled me with joy, it filled me with excitement, and if it bring on anything, I would be very happy to take all this. And soon enough, I was taking every challenge head on with a smile on my face. And the smile was contagious. We were a happy place. We were not just gelling together very well at work, but also doing our weekend parties and late night movies together. About a year and a half later, I switched my career and moved on to Infosys. It was and is still the largest IT company of the country. After our initial training and induction, I was posted to a US-based customer project. But I soon realized that the software programming that I used to love and enjoy at school as a kid, it was very different. It was much more systematic, much more methodical. So gone were all my program declarations and program names like Tanmay 1, Tanmay 2, and everything was more structured. I realized I could do this for the next 20, 30 years. But I was having fun. I was enjoying every day. So whether it was learning new codes, writing new algorithms, or doing naughty things like enabling the printer access when we were not allowed as trainers to do that, or sending a mail to a friend from devil@hell.com by hacking the ports, I was pretty busy. We had a small manufacturing setup back home, and started by my father and his partner, and they were into composites and electrical control system. I used to love working in the factory during my break at school and college. I asked them, can I join you? And then they said, no, we can't afford you. It's better you work professionally. Few months later, I was about to be posted to my US assignment from Infosys, and I asked them again, can I join you? This time they said yes. They were starting a new technology and process where they wanted me to lead it right from the day one. The only catch, they would pay me half the salary I was getting at Infosys. And guess what? I left everything, packed my bags, and came back home. The next few years were quite challenging. Gone were the comfortable offices and all the amenities that you get used to in the corporate life. And I was down on the shop floor, working with my hands, making new products, making new processes, leading a bunch of team, making new markets, modifying machines. And the years just disappeared. Over the next 20 years, we grew from a company of 40 people to about 700 people, with turnover touching about 1 billion rupees or 100 crores. We opened plants in different parts of the country and had a joint venture with a German company to introduce a new range of material never before used in India. But all this while the entire world was trying its best to put its agenda before me, whether it was customers, employees, friends, family, I always woke up with that spark in my eye, ready to be excited about the things I was going to do during the day. I was never tied to a routine. I was always innovating new things, thinking about new ideas. So we had this machine at our plant, which was used to inject the raw material into the molds. We were about to buy a new machine and had a choice of buying either a basic machine costing X or a very advanced machine costing 2.5X. While I loved the 2.5X machine, I realized it was overpriced. I said to myself, what can be done? And so every day after work, I was analyzing, looking into it, and I realized that all that I needed was a bunch of automation, maybe some PLC controllers, maybe some AI logic circuits, but I didn't know anything about it. So I learned, I started reading, and soon enough, I had this box ready. This is the box that I made, which converted the X machine into 2.5X at 1% the cost. That is, I had the new machine ready at 1.01X price. And this was the beginning. This was the beginning for me to look at very complex problems and start breaking them down into small blocks, and then finding simple, innovative, and off-the-shelf solutions for them. Soon, we had a new challenge. It was more human in nature. We had a painting shop, and a lot of our operation was manual. The volumes were fluctuating because in the lean season, we would have a volume of, let's say, X, and the peak season volume would be 10X. Now, we couldn't just add people in the peak season just to have them sitting idle in the lean season. The solution was a painting robot. But these cost a bomb, and we had no background of robots. So what did I do? I did the next best thing. I bought a small children's robotic kit, assembled it, started learning about it, tinkering with it. Then I realized that we can actually get these multi-axis robotic arms second-hand from the market. I also found, why do we need those fancy paint guns when we can just use our hand spray guns by attaching it to the arm? And this is what we built. This is how it worked. This gave us consistency. This saved us pain. This, with the flick of a switch, increased our capacity. And the best part, we built this robot for 1/10 the cost of a commercially able painting robot. This was the beginning, and there were many such more innovations over the days. And each one kept me going excited day after day after day. After 22 years of running the business with family and friends, I'd come to a realization that it was probably time for me to move on. I was reminded of what my HR manager had said on the first day of my job. I had let the business grow, had learned all the experiences, gone through the entire process, but it was kind of getting repetitive and not so challenging. The onset of COVID and the death of a dear friend made me question my goals in life. I undertook a journey onto the Trans-Himalayan region of Ladakh. I rode on a bike, and in the next 11 days of wilderness, through the barren mountains, through the empty roads, through the flowing streams and the wind blowing over my hair, I could see my life traveling in front of me. I realized that I wanted to do things that bring joy to me, that make a difference to the society at large, and not just about money and glory. My departure from the business was planned, and one fine day I was out on my own. I wanted to work in the social sector because I felt this was the field that had immense potential of giving back to the society if you could work on the grassroots level, and there was a dearth of professionals like me in this field. So I connected with a lot of social organizations. I was lucky to reach out to Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, the well-known innovator and educationist in Ladakh. He had done some wonderful work in the field of school education with a school of failures called SECMOL, and had now started the Himalayan Institute of Alternatives in Ladakh, which was started along with his co-founder Ms. Gitanjali, and looking at higher education by finding unique solution to the contextual problems facing the region. After a few days of connecting with each other, I landed in Ladakh in April 22, and I took a 5-day journey across the plains and snow-capped mountains and reached there on my 4x4 vehicle. Ladakh as a place is a place of contrast. It is beautiful and hostile at the same time. Everywhere you look is a picture frame, and yet the temperatures can go down as low as -30 or lower, and there's water scarcity everywhere. This is a sunny and cold desert. It is also known as the part of the third pole of the earth, providing the glacial melt water provides for about water for 25% of humanity. But raging tourism and the global warming is causing damage to this place. Glaciers are melting at a very fast rate. This is some of the images of the glaciers that I took, which are shrinking year on year. But what this place lacks in terrain and temperature conditions, it is more than made up by the warmth of its people. I was lucky to get the love, affection and warmth of all the ever-smiling people there that made me forget and the distance that I had from my family. Ladakh has a unique challenge. You don't have too many higher education opportunities, so youngsters go away and many times they actually don't come back. So our organization looked at a very holistic solution. They had things like a water team that would build artificial glaciers or ice stupas, as they are fondly called, which would store the winter water so that it could melt and irrigate the fields in summers. We had the plantation team, which would look at desert greening and revive the native species. We had the construction team, which would build passive solar heated houses that would maintain temperatures of +20 inside the building, even if outside temperatures were -20, just by using the power of the sun with no external heating. Then we had the responsible tourism team, which would revive the local village economy by enabling the women of the villages to convert their homes into homestays and farm stays. In all these activities, I had really no background, but my keen sense of learning and listening to everyone helped. I was soon traveling all over Ladakh. My first role there was to look into leading the enterprise arm by converting all the businesses that innovative ideas that they had into businesses, so that the revenues from these businesses could then fund the institute. I went all over Ladakh, and some of the places we went as extreme as the border with high altitude region where we were building shelters, passive solar heated shelters for the armed forces. The conditions there, you really need to be there to believe it, the kind of cold and the kind of winds that were there. But the smile on the face of the soldiers when they moved into some of our shelters that we built was good enough to understand the impact these passive buildings were making to that place. And the very fact that they were not burning any more fossil fuel was our contribution to the mitigating the global warming challenge. This was the building that we built at Brass, which is among the coldest place on earth. This was built inside the Kargil War Memorial. My background of plastics I also put to use, and I was doing a lot of research where I was going into the dump yards, picking up the thermocol waste, plastic waste, we were shredding them and using them as building insulation. If these experiments work well, then maybe we have one more option for the plastic waste that is causing such a big problem in these mountainous areas. I also love working in the tourism team, where we were finding new and better ways to maintain a much more robust business model. Our team also worked with key influencers so that we could create new sustainable circuits where the tourism we could take away from the hotspots and move out all over Ladakh. I was also enjoying giving leadership talks and sustainability talks to the youngsters at SECMOL and our institute. The connect with these youngsters came with the realization that there was hope for the world when the next generation was really worried about global warming and sustainability goals. My time in Ladakh came to an end around November 22. Snow had started falling on the mountain passes and the roads would soon be closed. It was a wonderful and joyous experience working with these bunch of talented youngsters, and my work there helped me realize that there is hope for the world, and the work we do on the ground level in the social sector can change the world. On the journey back, I again did the 5-day trip across the autumn mountains. This time my wife joined me. She wanted to make sure that I come back home and not head out for another adventure. Back home, I again continue doing what I love doing, and now continue to solve problems for different organizations, including the social sector. I also work with startups and mentor them. I continue my latest passion now on artificial intelligence, robots, and lasers. So if any of you see one of those Star Wars Death Star in the sky, may the force be with you. Jokes apart, I hope the journey further continues to be as exciting, and I can have more stories to talk to all of you. But though many of you might have enjoyed my journey, there was a lot of meticulous planning that went about in doing things that I could do in my life. There was obviously the love and affection and unconditional support from family, but most important was that spark in my eye. Every day morning I got up and I could be excited about the immense potential the day held in store for me. Life is short, and many times we get bogged down by all these competitive things, over-imagining things, and all these complex situations. And to this I say, just wake up to smell that flower in your garden. Smile to the next person you meet. Help someone and forget about it. Talk to a stranger. Keep it simple, because it is the simple pleasures in life that help you wake up to an exciting day every day. I started my talk with that poser image from my grade 1, so I'll close with another poser image. That's me at Umlinga at 19,024 peaks, the highest motorable road in the world, and I felt on top of the world. But the journey here was a big adventure. There were 40 kilometers of road along the way where there was no road, so it was all ups and down the mountain. But the best part and the most exciting part was the return journey. We ran out of fuel. But my friends, that is another story for another exciting day. Till then, remain excited, wake up to an exciting day. Thank you very much.